morning, y'all. I want to start this video by telling you exactly where we are right now in this outbreak, because the picture is moving fast, and I want to make sure everyone is oriented to the present moment before I tell you about what is still coming. Last night, Monday, April 13th, the opening salvo of this multi-day severe weather event delivered real, significant impacts across 4 states. At least 14 preliminary tornado reports were logged across Kansas, Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin. In Ottawa, Kansas, a community of about 11,000 people in Franklin County, a confirmed tornado struck the city, causing structural damage to multiple buildings. 3 people sustained injuries east of Ottawa when a home took significant damage. As of overnight, the majority of Ottawa was without power, with streetlights dark across much of the city. Ottawa's school district canceled classes for Tuesday because of the storm damage from Monday night. More than 70,000 customers across Wisconsin were without power early Tuesday morning after rounds of severe thunderstorms blasted through overnight. Tennis ball-sized hail hammered portions of southern Minnesota, central Wisconsin, and eastern Kansas, leaving thousands of vehicles and structures damaged across the affected corridor. 14 tornado reports, 3 injuries, 70,000 power outages, school closures. That is what the opening act of this outbreak looked like. And the reason I am here this morning, the reason I want every person watching this video to sit up and pay full attention, is because the opening act is not the story. What is coming today, and what is still coming Friday, is the story. Let me be direct about Tuesday, April 14th, because we are living inside it right now, and the decisions people make in the next several hours are the ones that matter most. The Storm Prediction Center has an enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5, in place for Tuesday, spanning from eastern Iowa into southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, and the southern Great Lakes region. An enhanced risk means numerous and persistent severe storms are expected, with a few intense storms possible and a genuine tornado threat. This is not a marginal or slight risk day. This is an enhanced risk day, and it is an enhanced risk day that is landing on a corridor that spent Monday night absorbing tornadoes and watching power outages accumulate to the tens of thousands. The specific atmospheric environment driving today's enhanced risk is genuinely alarming when you look at the numbers. The SPC's own Day 1 discussion describes a very unstable air mass, with ML-CAPE values of 2,500 to 3,000 joules per kilogram and favorable wind profiles supporting supercells capable of large to giant hail. 3,000 joules of CAPE is well into the extreme instability range. The most serious threat is concentrated near a stalled boundary extending from eastern Iowa into southern Wisconsin, where low-level wind shear and instability are expected to overlap during the late afternoon. And that overlap is precisely the configuration that produces the longest tracked, most violent tornadoes. Scattered, discrete supercells are already ongoing across eastern Iowa, far northern Illinois, and southern Wisconsin as of this morning, and they are spreading southeast through the overnight transition. CNN is specifically reporting that supercell thunderstorms firing today from central Iowa to southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois could drop hail up to the size of softballs, and that several tornadoes are possible, with the potential to be strong to intense, rated EF2 to EF3 or higher. EF2 to EF3 or higher. Today, on top of what Monday night already delivered. That is escalation. That is real, live documented escalation happening right now in a corridor where the ground is already wet, the trees are already down, the power crews are already deployed, and the communities are already running on emergency footing. Let me explain the specific mechanism driving the Tuesday escalation, because understanding it helps you understand why the enhanced risk sits exactly where it does, and why the overlap zone matters so much. The stalled warm frontal boundary draped from eastern Iowa into southern Wisconsin is not just a line on a map, it is a concentration zone. The place where the most explosive atmospheric instability, the deepest moisture, and the most favorable low-level wind shear are all being funneled simultaneously by the large-scale circulation. When discrete supercells form along or just south of that boundary and begin interacting with the boundary layer moisture pooling ahead of it, they tap into a thermodynamic environment that is dramatically more favorable for violent rotation than the average severe weather day. The CAPE values the SPC is explicitly citing, 2,500 to 3,000 joules per kilogram, alongside favorable wind profiles for supercell organization, means that any storm that fires in this environment today has access to the full suite of severe weather potential. Baseball-sized to softball-sized hail, destructive straight-line winds, and tornadoes that can be strong to violent. The towns and communities in the elevated enhanced risk zone, eastern Iowa cities like Dubuque and Iowa City, the southern Wisconsin corridor including Madison and Janesville, the northern Illinois communities approaching Rockford and the Chicago metro fringe, need to be engaged with this threat with everything they have today, not passively monitoring, actively watching, shelter plan ready, phone charged, prepared to move in 30 seconds if the warning covers your location. I also need to spend real time on the Wednesday continuation of this event, because the SPC's Tuesday day 4-8 discussion makes it clear that the severe threat does not end when Tuesday's supercells wind down. On Wednesday, a positive tilt upper trough will be located over the Central Plains and will move across the Mississippi Valley toward the Great Lakes. A surface low will develop into Iowa as the upper wave moves out of Nebraska and Kansas. A front and dry line will extend south across eastern Kansas, western Oklahoma, and west central Texas during the day. And here's the number that stands out most to me in the Wednesday setup. The SPC is forecasting ML Cape over 3,000 joules per kilogram near the dry line, with cells expected to develop from northwest Texas across Oklahoma and into southeast Kansas that will gain strength as 50 to 60 knot effective shear acts upon them. 50 to 60 knots of effective shear on 3,000 plus joules of KP produces the supercell tornado environment. Not the squall line wind environment, not the garden variety hail environment, but the organized rotating supercell environment where long track tornadoes become possible. Wednesday's threat area runs from northwest Texas through Oklahoma and into southeast Kansas and northern Missouri, with a second zone of supercell potential from northern Missouri into Iowa and western Illinois. Communities in Tulsa, Joplin, Springfield, and Kansas City need to understand that Wednesday is not a recovery day from Tuesday. It is another active threat day in its own right. The outbreak is not tapering off by midweek. It is sustaining. And then there is Friday. Y'all, let me tell you about Friday, April 18th. Because when I look at the SPC's Day 4-8 discussion that was released this morning, the language they use for Friday is the kind of language that makes every meteorologist who reads it stop and pay very close attention. A strong upper trough, oriented from Montana to the southwest, is forecast to eject eastward to the plains on Friday and Friday night. Southwesterly mid and upper flow will intensify ahead of this feature, with 40 to 60 knot 850 to 700 millibar flow forecast by late afternoon into the nighttime hours. A surface dry line will extend from a deepening lee low over the central and southern high plains to western Oklahoma and central Texas by midday. A broad warm sector characterized by mid to upper 60s dew points will be in place as temperatures warm into the 80s. Mid to upper 60s dew points in the 80s is Gulf Coast summertime moisture arriving in the southern plains on April 18th. That is an extraordinary moisture depth for mid-April. And when that moisture depth meets 50 to 60 knot effective shear from the approaching trough, and when a focused area of severe storm potential develops south of the deepening low along the dry line, the SPC explicitly flagged that MLKP will be over 3,000 joules per kilogram along the Friday dry line. What you are looking at is a setup that CNN, in their coverage of this week's outbreak, specifically describes as a setup where strong tornadoes and destructive hail and winds are all on the table for a final round of potent thunderstorms on Friday across Oklahoma to Iowa. A final burst of severe storms on Saturday is then possible for the southern Great Lakes and Ohio Valley before the pattern finally shifts, and the storm-weary central United States gets the multi-day breather it has been earning all week. But that breather is not today. It is not Wednesday. It is not Friday. The escalation is continuing, and communities across the southern plains, the Midwest, and the Great Lakes need to be thinking not about when this is going to be over, but about how to stay safe through every active day that remains. I want to address something specific about the overnight component of Tuesday's enhanced risk, because I think it is the part of today's threat that carries the highest potential for tragedy. As Tuesday evening progresses and the discrete supercell phase begins to grow upscale into a squall line, which the SPC describes happening as storms near the Mississippi River, with an accompanying increase in damaging wind potential, that squall line is going to push southeast through the overnight hours across communities that have already been through a difficult Monday night, and that are going to be, many of them, exhausted and feeling like the worst is behind them. It is not behind them. The squall line, overnight Tuesday into Wednesday morning, is going to carry damaging straight-line wind gusts and embedded QLCS tornado potential into communities along the Mississippi Valley and toward the southern Great Lakes. Wisconsin, which already has tens of thousands of customers without power from Monday night storms, is going to receive another round. Northern Illinois, northern Indiana, southern Michigan. All of these communities need to understand that the squall line that is going to push through them overnight Tuesday is not a weakened remnant. It is a mature, organized line of storms moving through an environment that the SPC explicitly says will favor damaging wind potential as it matures. Set up y'all call before you go to sleep tonight. The link is right there in the description of this video. $14.95 for a full year of direct phone call protection when a tornado warning covers your GPS location. When the squall line arrives at 2 in the morning and the warning is issued, the phone call is what gets you out of bed and moving to your shelter before the storm arrives. Do not count on the Do Not Disturb setting on your phone to know the difference between a routine notification and a tornado warning that covers your exact location. Y'all Call does know the difference, and it makes the call. The flooding situation across Wisconsin and Michigan deserves specific attention as this week's rainfall continues to pile up on an already saturated, already flooding region. CNN explicitly reported Tuesday that multiple rounds of rainfall this week could cause flash flooding and aggravate ongoing river flooding in Michigan and Wisconsin, noting that the region is waterlogged after seeing one of its wettest starts to spring on record, with melting snow worsening the flooding in northern parts of both states. The Weather Prediction Center is already carrying a level 2 out of 4 threat of flash flooding for southeast Wisconsin and southern Michigan, valid for Tuesday night. A level 2 flash flood threat means significant flash flooding is likely in the highlighted area. Not possible, likely. Every resident in southeast Wisconsin, southern Michigan, and the broader Great Lakes region who is near any creek, stream, low water crossing, or river needs to be watching water levels with the same urgency they're watching the tornado threat. Flash flooding kills people every severe weather season, and it kills them because they drive into water they thought they could cross. Please, this week, more than any other week, turn around at every water crossing you encounter that has any standing or moving water across the road. No exceptions. Not with the soil this saturated and the rivers this elevated and the rain this persistent. Let me close with the things that matter most right now. The specific actions that the people in this outbreak corridor need to take today, not sometime this week, not when the next storm is on the radar, but today. First, if you are in the Tuesday enhanced risk zone, eastern Iowa, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, southern Michigan, your shelter plan needs to be executed and ready before the afternoon storm initiation begins. Not tomorrow morning, before today's storms fire. Second, set up Y'all Call right now if you have not done so. The link is in the description. 5 minutes. Tonight's overnight squall line window is real, and it is dangerous, and a direct phone call to your number when the warning covers your location is the only reliable way to wake up in time. Third, charge every device you own and keep them charged throughout the remainder of this outbreak week. Not just before storm days, but every day, because Wednesday and Friday are also active threat days, and you do not want to be making preparation decisions on a dead phone. Fourth, if you are in Wisconsin or Michigan near any waterway, know your flood exit routes and know them now before Tuesday night's additional rainfall pushes rivers that are already elevated into flood stage. Fifth, share this video with everyone in your life who is in the affected corridor. Kansas, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas. Because this outbreak is not over, it is not tapering. The people in its path deserve to know that the most dangerous days are still ahead of them. I'm going live this afternoon the moment the Tuesday supercells initiate, and I'm staying live through the overnight squall line push. Subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, and I will see you all in the live stream. Stay safe out there. I love every single one of you.